All right, everyone, welcome back to the Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Zach.
And we are coming at you with another installment of our UPEND the Trends series today.
Yes. Today, we are going to be talking about nepo babies.
Yes.
And we have what are we calling a non-trending topic as well.
Yes.
Which we'll reveal
Later.
Yeah.
Yes. But again, we are back, we're in this series where we talk about one thing that is trending, or it seems like everyone's talking about. We dissect why it's trending. Kind of really dig into that. And then we bring up something that we don't think is trending, but we think should be trending.
Yeah.
And we kind of compare the two, talk about it, all of that. I've been loving the series so far, so I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, we're excited for this one.
Yes.
So, nepo babies. Okay, bit of a strange term. I feel like when I first heard this, I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, but the thing is,
are we talking about?
Everywhere. It's everywhere.
It is, yes. So, why don't you explain what it is?
So, nepotism in and of itself, right, is when you get a position based on a connection, essentially. That is like the most basic way that I could put that.
Yeah.
So,
a position because of a connection.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Exactly. Or like you have an advantage in life because of a standing, social, societal, economical, whatever. So this whole thing came out, right? Like, so the internet has become obsessed with nepo babies. There was an article in New York Magazine that came out. I'm sure we all saw the cover. It's a bunch of like incubators with like famous people's faces on the babies.
Yeah.
And basically it's this whole like quote unquote expose on like, wow, all of Hollywood is like children of famous people.
Yeah.
This whole thing. Mm-hmm. The internet goes wild with it, right? And like everyone is dragging nepo babies. Be like, did you know this person was a nepo baby and this person, that person? And it's like, yeah, we all did. All you have to do is Google them, you know, but all of a sudden we became obsessed as a culture about like, do those people deserve to have the positions that they have? Like, because I think nepotism in and of itself has a very negative connotation.
Yes.
Right? So now we're bringing all of this up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think
it got spicy real quick.
Yeah. I think one of the things that people get so frustrated with is the idea that obviously like an ordinary person like yourself or like myself, we have to work hard, right?
Yes.
To get into like maybe a position of like a famous acting role or whatever it is. Yeah. And we have to really like graft for something like that.
Yeah.
Whereas for them, it's much more of like I'm born and I grew up and now I have an opportunity sort of thing, you know, like
that's the way it's perceived.
That's the way it's perceived, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's this whole idea of like, this is super unfair. Like, why is that the case? Like, we should have equal opportunity and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which is it's
a very interesting concept,
way of looking at it. Yeah.
Right. Because you say that and there's nothing that I like immediately disagree with, you know, like I can't say I'm like necessarily the biggest fan of nepo babies. You know what I mean? But also, like, my big thing is you can't help the family you're born into.
Yeah, you can't, yeah.
Like, you didn't decide, you know? So if your parents are successful or famous or whatever it is, that literally, you have nothing to do with that, you know? Yeah. It is what you do with that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think as well, like, I mean, I think we talked about this in the first episode of this series. Like, we as a culture are obsessed with celebrities and gossip and all of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we do know there are articles about like, did you know these, you know, actors' children are just working regular jobs, you know? No one talks about that. Yeah. You know, like that information's also like available for us, but we love to hyperfixate
on the people who have the big positions.
Yeah. So like, what do we want? Like, we want the people that have the positions to not have the positions, but we don't care about the people that don't have the positions.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I feel like it's a lose-lose.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the world has this big thing around like hard work, like pays off, and that whole like mindset, right? Which I love, but also I think it's almost like created this thing of like you can't be in any position without working your butt off for it,
or like,
right?
Prove it to me that you deserve it.
Right. Like you have to deserve what the position you've got, and it's almost like we live in the world where just things go up and down, and weird things happen, and it's like. There'll be times where you kind of like break through or get a bit of luck or, you know, the idea of like opportunity, right? Mm. And like that is also part of life, and that's okay. Like if you've suddenly got an opportunity in front of you, you're not just gonna be like, oh, well, I haven't worked hard for this, so I can't take this opportunity.
No.
Right? You want to grasp that with both hands. Yeah. So I think it's kind of like, it's a bit of like a salty, view, or like salty like hearts, really. I feel like the world is just very like, no, you can't have that. Like you have to work your bum off, or you know, you're not entitled to that. And it's this whole thing of like, it's really hard to be happy for other people almost.
Honestly, I think that's the big key.
Yeah.
Right? Because I mean, we were talking about this before as well. And it's like, what parent wouldn't want to give their kid like the best opportunities that they could?
Yeah.
You know, it just looks different depending on like the opportunities, you know, or like the position, the standing, you know?
Right.
So if my mom, you know, wants to give me the best opportunities, you know, and help me succeed and do what I love, then, you know, no, like a famous actor would do the same for their child. You know, they want to see them. And if, you know, you usually grow up like doing what you want to see. No, you grow up. What am I trying to say? You grow up wanting to do what you see. We came around.
Right. I understood what you meant.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
That's
why we don't speak proper English.
For the people. Yeah.
But like, that's why, like, you know, when you're a kid, like you want to be, my two, like goals as a child was a cashier and a bank lady. Why? Because I would go do errands with my mom and we'd go to the grocery store and to the bank. And I was like, those are the two jobs that I want because that's what I see people doing, you know?
Yeah, right.
If you grow up, because you have no choice in the entertainment industry, you are naturally going to lean towards something like that because it's what you see, you know, it's the world that you're a part of, right?
Yeah.
And so, why would a parent not want to give their kids what they want? You know what I mean? Like any good parent would. And I think like knowing that, right? But then again, it's comparison. Well, my parent didn't have that opportunity. And you could like go back like generationally, you know, but the fact is that, okay, you're not in that position. So what are you going to do with your position now?
Yeah. I think I was reading this article or I was reading somewhere, and basically like it was this whole thing of like, I can't remember how it went, so I'm not going to phrase too much of it, but the basic concept was the idea that like people didn't know that these famous actors were kids of people who were producers or, you know, actors, whatever. And so these actors had their position, had their roles, were famous, people loved who they were, whatever, their roles, etc. But then when they found out whose kids they were like, well, like they suddenly just like flipped and just got super salty and were like,
they're not even that good.
Wait, they're not even that good, or I don't like this person anymore, or like, this isn't fair. And like suddenly it's like it takes away what you actually like, and so for me that's like a big alarm bell. It's like, well, you're just it's I don't know even know what you would call that, but it's, I mean,
forgive me if this is going a little bit too far, but in a sense it is prejudice, because like we're supposed to be like basing people's, you know, ability to perform a job on how they perform a job, right? If you go to any other workplace and you're like, just kidding, you can't do that because of your family, because of your whatever, but you're good at your job, you know, like it's like industry standards, like cross industries, it's just so strange, right? You know, like you would never apply that same thing again to a person at a grocery store. Do you know what I mean? Like you want to talk about nepotism and salespeople, like which, speaking of, can I go on my little rant now?
Go for it. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's your time.
It's my time
to shine.
I do not. So there's this model, one of my favorite models. Her name is Coco Rocha. She's a Canadian model.
Coco
Rocha. Yeah.
Is that a real name?
Yes.
Okay.
Coco, if you ever listen to this.
We'll just leave it there.
She tweeted me once back when like Twitter was the thing. Yeah, because
Twitter is still a massive thing.
It is a massive thing, but like it was pre-Instagram.
Okay.
Actually, she's always been ahead of the curve, and she was the one that, like, when Instagram first came out, told all models, like, you need to get Instagram because you'll be able to control your narrative. You'll be able to post pictures of yourself, like.
Right.
Anyway, I love her.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
Anyway, but when this whole thing came out, right, she released a few TikToks about nepo babies, especially in the modeling industry. Okay, so that's her sort of take on it, obviously, because she's a model. Yeah. And she said that she was biting her tongue because she has some unpopular opinions. And I was like, that
here we go.
Perfect. Let's hear it. But basically, she says, I'm gonna read some like quotes pulled from. I think she did 4 TikToks about it. But she said, let's be real. Privilege is a ladder. It's a ladder that's 1,000 steps high. Some are born higher on the ladder than others. That's a fact. Okay. Some start higher on the ladder because they were born in wealthier countries. That is privilege. Some, like myself, were boosted higher onto the ladder because we worked with some great photographers or great designers that helped us get there. They were given a change to make a mark, which they had not yet earned. Okay. So basically saying, hey, you're born in a first world country. Congrats. You have privilege.
Yeah.
You know, like, and all these different things. Like you get a big break early because a designer wanted to work with you or because you booked a job, you know. And the thing I love about her is that she came from like raised by a single mom who's a flight attendant in Canada, you know. She's not a nepo baby at all.
Yeah, yeah. So she worked hard for it.
She worked hard, but also she got opportunities that a lot of other models did not get, right?
Okay.
Just because of who she worked with and connections. And, you know, she says, because of the racist legacy of the modeling industry, white models start off higher on the ladder than models of color. More opportunities are given to them, whether that's fair or not. And yes, some nepo babies started off higher on the ladder because their parents were famous. Everyone has an advantage over someone else in this world. I love that. Everyone has an advantage over somebody else. Like, you have an advantage, okay? Yeah. And so basically, let's see where we're going to go next. She talks about basically that any model born, because congrats, you're already photogenic. You're already hundreds of steps up that ladder. Because nepotism in the modeling industry is a big thing. Like, we're going to talk about the Hadid. Guys, I'm going a mile a minute. Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, right? Okay. Okay, you know?
Let's keep going. No. Yeah, I don't know these names.
These characters. I'll see what we have to work with, folks.
These names.
But she talks a lot about them, right? And again, it's the whole like Kendall Jenner becoming a model because she wants to, sort of a thing.
Right.
People that already had high social standing or a lot of, you know, famous parents, money, like the Hadid sisters, their mom, like I don't know what their dad does, but he's like really rich. And the mom's on like the Real Housewives of like Beverly Hills or one of those things, you know?
Right up there.
Yeah. But basically, yes, is what she's saying. How about we recognize our own position, reach down and pull someone up? And she's saying that a lot of these models that are complaining about this, like, I had to work hard for this. She's like, you're a model. Like, you're already beautiful, like, probably from a wealthy country. Like, you're already so far up that ladder.
Yeah.
So why are we, like, obsessed with trying to pull someone down when we can understand, like, wait, like, even though I'm not as high as that person, I'm still higher than all these people. So what am I going to do to help other people? Bring them up, Right? But then, here she goes, okay? And this is where I was like, still love you, Coco. Says that monopolization of power is world changing. But according to what we read these days, the peak of our problem is who takes the pretty pictures or who's in the next blockbuster movie. Let's see this for the distraction that it is. This has happened so many times before. The modeling and entertainment and fashion industry is usually used as a scapegoat for what is really going on in the world. Basically what she's saying is like, why do we care so much about nepotism in the entertainment industry when all that it affects is who's in the movie or who's going to be on the cover of this magazine? When nepotism is something that happens in every industry, right? Why do we not care about our world leaders being nepo babies?
Yeah.
Like the people that are making decisions for our lives. And I think this is just, we went over this the first episode. I love pop culture, you know?
Yeah.
Love it. I'm so into it. But like, this is infuriating me. The more that we like look into this each week,
it's frustrating
to be like, like we care so much, but it's all a scapegoat. Like we can get mad at nepotism when it comes to, this actor's child is in this movie. And I think that they're not the best actor ever. But I mean, they're not making decisions that are going to affect literally our lives.
Yeah.
And I think if we're going to care, then care about it in a real way.
Yeah.
And rant.
Great.
Okay, you can go.
I feel like, so something that's I've been processing this week, right, with myself is that I've been super dissatisfied with like a bunch of different areas. Okay, this does relate slightly.
I'm like, oh yeah, tell me more.
No. So everything I was like praying about, even or just thinking about, and even stressed and just like not content with the tool, had everything to do with like what's going to happen tomorrow or in the future. And I realized yesterday, like, it just is completely robbing me of like right now and what I have right now and the responsibility or even just myself and my relationship with God and whatever else, like all these other things. And I feel like it's the same mindset because like you were saying, it's like people forget the privilege or where they stand currently because they're constantly just looking at where they could be or the what ifs or where they want to be.
Not.
Exactly where they're not, right? And so it really robs you away from like, okay, I'm here now. I'm sat next to Courtney. Like, how can I be fully invested in the moment right now. And then and
this is a lesson I've been learning the past weeks too.
Yeah.
Hey, good job.
Nice. Oh, let me move my arm. But it really robs you of the now. And I feel like if we can try and have that hat on a lot more of like, okay, like today, literally like this hour, even, you know, and break it down that much. I feel like if we could live like in the hours of the day rather than like the tomorrow, then I feel like we could actually like understand that responsibility that we carry a bit more. And I feel like we would look less about like what I don't have and more about like, okay, I have this right now. This is what I'm using right now. And this is what I'm going to use today and in this hour.
And these are the opportunities that I have.
Yeah.
Right. Like
we need that hat on a bit more.
We do.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like to wear hats, I will wear that one.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. But okay, so obviously people can tell where we stand with this.
Yes, sorry about that.
This is quite obvious. But I think like you were saying, I think when it comes to, I guess where we stand with this is like when it comes to like pop culture and just celebrities, whatever, like I feel like it's a big distraction for us, like you were saying. And we obviously stand very strongly in the sense of like, we need to just look at ourselves, be present in what we're doing currently.
Yeah.
You know, that whole mindset.
And if like, look for like the real issues, you know,
Yeah.
not the surface issues that we actually don't have to deal with, right? Because here's the thing is that we know we're not going to change we know that there's no point in us changing nepotism in the entertainment industry because it doesn't actually affect anything. So we can just talk crap about it, you know? But when we're confronted with nepotism in industries and parts of the world that like actually will affect us, you know, we're scared of taking responsibility, so we ignore it.
Yes.
Speaking about ignoring things, is this a good segue?
This is a good segue, yeah. Okay, we have our untrending topic team. You found this in it originally, right?
Here's the story, okay?
Go on.
I was at the gym. So everyone knows I'm a gym girly now. Right, in the changing room, like after my workout, and I look at like the counter and there's a missing persons photo. And I was like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. And like every time I see a missing persons photo, I get like the same like pit in my stomach, you know, just super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like a very uncomfy thing.
It's real. Yeah.
It's real. Like, I'm like, this is somebody's friend.
Yeah.
You know, this is someone's son. This is someone's whatever. Like, and it's so close to me that it's like put all my, like in my gym because he might be here or around here, you know? Yeah. Anyway. And then I was thinking about this. I was like, we don't talk about missing people like ever. No. Right. And then this is how this happened. Here we are as a culture, as a society, obsessed with these babies, these nepo babies. Okay. Yeah, we have no idea, nor do we care, or are we willing to confront the fact that there are children going missing every single day.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some stats.
We do have stats.
For the people. This is amongst the UK, but yeah, we pulled this up. So by the end of March, there were 5,300 long-term missing people. So I think they have obviously different definitions for the long-term and the short-term and stuff like that. But anyway, that is 5,300 people missing. And then another stat is there was 1,700 of these were children and 3,300 of these were adults, and a small number of age, the age was unknown. But it just puts things into perspective a little bit more. And it says, another stat we have is someone is reported missing every 90 seconds in the UK.
Every 90
seconds. That is nuts. And then another stat, 170,000 people are reported missing every year. Now, obviously, some of these are, well, a lot of these are found and stuff like that. But the fact that they're reported missing and their whereabouts are unknown is ridiculous. And there are 353,000 reported missing incidents every year. Oh yeah, but that's in the UK and worldwide. Yeah. Anyway, so
like that's insane. Like, those are very high numbers.
Yeah.
It's someone is reported missing every 90 seconds for me.
It's ridiculous. It
really puts into perspective.
Well, it just shows it's happening like right now. It's not something that's like an incident every now and then. Yeah. This is like happening on the regular every day.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah.
And okay, so this has been a little bit trending. Specifically, I don't know how much farther from the UK this reaches, but in the UK, the Madeleine McCann story is huge, right? So 16 years ago, this little girl, their families were on holiday. I think it was Portugal. And she was literally kidnapped from her room.
Right.
Yeah, and they haven't found her. This was 16 years ago. And I think just recently there's a new suspect. So like everything kind of got brought back up. But to me, this is so interesting because everyone knows her, right? And this story.
Right.
And it just, well, actually, if we're going to talk about media influence, I was listening, obviously, because this happened 16 years ago. I was so young. Like, I didn't understand, you know, even if I did hear about it in Canada, if it did make the news there. But I guess the media was so manipulated during this time as well. Like, the parents obviously were like appealing to any news source to try to get the word out there. But then at some point, the media turned on them. And basically everything that they did were like, yeah, no, you guys are the problem. You must have done something. Like,
wow.
And how the media was a weapon, you know, of like being for or against, and how they can control the narrative and they can control what the public think as well, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
Like a little side note and note with this series that we have. So all that was happening, right? And so like she's in the news and she's back in the news again. I literally saw an article that was like, this girl's claiming to be her or whatever. And I'm like, okay, this is fascinating. You know, like a very big story. This is a human life.
Yeah.
But this is one story.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, not to belittle it at all, 1000%, you know, and I feel like this family totally should have closure on what happened, you know?
Yeah.
But it's one of those, just another example. It's like, we'll care about it a little bit, you know, and it's like, this is so like removed from us because they were on holiday. It was a different country. It was such a strange sort of situation, anomaly of a situation, right? You know,
it's a good story, right?
It's a great story.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. It has intrigue.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to say it. It entertains us.
Yeah.
Right? It should not, but it does.
Yeah.
You know? But then we have all of these day-to-day stories, and why don't we care as much?
Yeah.
You know? And I
think the media just do a really good job of being able to share, like they see a good story in that sense, you know? Like you've been saying. So yeah, it's really tough. Because I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, well, why don't I personally care more for things like this? You know, I mean, I wasn't aware this was even a thing, to be honest, before we looked this up. But like, why don't I push to be more aware of this sort of thing? I think one of the things is like, it does make me super uncomfortable, like you were saying. And it's something that like when I see, I'm like, I don't know like what to do here. Yeah. So it's a bit of like, okay, I'm unsure like my role in this.
Yeah.
And I don't have too much clarity in that sense. But it's just uncomfortable to look at.
So uncomfortable.
So I'd much rather look at the interesting story. Whoa, just spitting everywhere. The interesting story in Portugal with this girl, rather than like seeing like the everyday stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's because we can detach. We can care while still detaching, right? When it's something so far removed. But when it is close to home, like someone around my gym, area, you know, then it's like, well, I saw that. And now because I saw that, I have a responsibility that if I see someone who looks like that, to do something about it. But we don't want that, right? Like we want to be consumers and not, you know, active. Yeah. Right? And there's a William Wilberforce, I believe, quote that I'm going to butcher. Who? He ended slavery in the UK, William Wilberforce.
Man, I should know that. There we go.
You really should.
No, I really, wait, what's his name? William
Wilberforce.
Okay, right.
There's a movie that my mom loves. It's called Amazing Grace. It's about him. I think your mom would like it too.
Yeah, I have a feeling she would. Okay.
But basically, one of his quotes that I will butcher, but here we are, a paraphrase, is essentially like, you can like, for him, it was like slavery. Like you can see it and choose to look away from it, but you can never say that you like have never seen it. You know, you can never say that you don't know about it. And I think when we're confronted with something like a picture of a missing person, I can look away and do nothing about it. But in the back of my mind, I know that now that I've seen it, I have a responsibility.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's hard because we're sat here and we're like, oh, like, why are we not looking at this more? And like, it's not to say that like, first of all, we do a very bad job at this as well, in the sense of like trying to be more aware of like what's actually important. But I think it's because, I don't know, there's got to be some sort of call to action, right? It's easy for us to be just saying like, oh, this is more important, or this is...
And then do nothing about it.
Yeah. And, you know, I think it even just goes beyond like, it's not just looking more in the news and looking in the right places. And I think it's more like just a general, like, honestly, I think this goes way beyond just looking at a screen and then be more aware of what's going on in the world. I think it's more of like a whole mindset into like what you take and what you carry as you move in the
Yeah.
world, and like what you consume, you know? It's like understanding the media's intentions. It's understanding what your intentions are. It's understanding like I'm much more like the things that I'm much more concerned about and the things I actually value. Like I feel like it's like shifting those sort of
Like your priorities kind of.
yeah, like in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You know, not just like what you're looking at in the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's valuing people,
Yeah.
to be honest. Because even like, okay, think what you want about nepotism and nepo babies, you know? After this, you're still super against it. Honestly, be my guest. I don't, you know. But it's the fact that we just like feel like we have the right to be so mean to people.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think both cases, like, you're not valuing the person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're hating on the nepo babies, you're not valuing them as a human being, you know? And if you are refusing to pay attention to, you know, the person that goes missing every 90 seconds, then, you know, you're also not valuing that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder if it's like a selfless stance we need to start, or maybe not
No,
selfless,
I completely agree. Yeah.
or compassionate. I don't know.
If you really break it down, genuinely, it's hard to be super ecstatic about someone else and their
Yes.
achievements and what's going on. Like it is.
It's so hard.
That's a hard gig.
Yeah.
And it's purely because of comparisons, purely because of
100%.
like looking at where I'm not because they are almost. And it's like,
And like I do this with my like best friends as well. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not just like, and we're like, you know, Christians that are, you know, friends and support each other and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And if it's hard for me, I'm like, crap, like it's gonna be hard for other people.
yeah.
Like,
So we do need to value
yeah.
other people more and like change that standard that we have, I think. But yeah, this goes beyond the news. for
It goes
sure.
way beyond the news, but doesn't it though?
It always
doesn't
does.
always isn't always just exposing human nature. But yeah.
Yep.
But I think it's a lot about the victim mentality.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, and I think we can kind of like say that, like, I don't have this or that didn't happen to me. So I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know, but then I think where we get uncomfortable is realizing that, for example, if we're gonna go us, nepo babies, missing persons, okay? I'm not there. Or maybe we should be like this. I don't know. Well, yeah, we'll do it
Sure.
vertically like the ladder,
Sure.
okay? Nepo babies, I'm mad. You're up here. You're getting all this advantage. I want what you have, whatever. We're going to focus on this. I'm going to drag you down, right? But then to look and see, oh, actually, there are people that are actually in need below me.
Yeah.
No, I can't do that. Because then I have to admit that I have privilege and I can't rely on my victim mentality anymore.
Right.
Um,
Boom.
that was so strong.
It's good.
But it's true.
It's really
you
good,
know?
yeah.
And it's like we don't want to look at it because we realize we have to come to terms with the fact that we have privilege.
Yeah.
Everyone, it will be different, you know, for everyone, but at least here in the UK, everyone here has a privilege over
Yeah.
somebody else in the world.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite feels very like dark and gloomy, not dark and gloomy, but a bit like some tough things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like you said, that was great. And just the idea of like, let's like maybe just have a reflection moment or time to think about, like, I guess you're like the idea of like how much comparison and how much of a role that plays
Yeah.
in how you see anything really,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah.
And I think for me as well, like I'm going to be like, this is what I can do. You can do it too.
Yeah.
But like take a minute, see where you are on that ladder.
Yeah.
See who's above you. Have you been, you know, trash talking them? Maybe stop, you know, and who from below you can you help pull up?
Yeah.
You know, and I think if we all just kind of take that,
Into anything.
yeah,
honestly,
you know, like, wow, here I am. I'm grateful, like we were talking about, you know, maybe I don't have everything that I want right now, but I have to see what I do have and how can I bring other people up, you know? And then if we're all doing that, then the people above you are going to help bring you up too. You know what I mean?
Right.
This is so idealistic. This is like a utopia that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, but we gotta work for that, you know?
We got to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Boom.
What a topic.
Yeah, I know. I love it because it's like, okay, we have the topics, but then it's like, what's going on behind the surface, you know, behind the scenes?
As you know, it's never just a topic with us.
Never.
Never. No.
So, yeah. Anyway, thank you, team, for joining us. And we have more episodes coming. We're looking into what's trending. If there is something that you do want to discuss as well, please let us know. But otherwise, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us at the Anchor of the Week, where we have hard conversations, hear people's stories, and challenge perspectives.
Remember, you can stay connected by following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Hope these conversations are inspiring you to have hard convos as well.
We'll see you next time, and remember, attack topics and not people.